Are you willing to spend one more night with the frogs? Hi, this is Barry Phillips, a 10-minute tour, day number 4, the Torah portion of the era. Let's go to Shemot, Exodus chapter number 8. And again today, let's start reading from verse 1. And Yahweh said to Moshe, "Go to Pharaoh and say to him, Thus said Yahweh, let my people go, so that they serve me. But if you refuse to let them go, see, I'm smiting all your border with frogs. The river shall swarm with frogs, which shall go up and shall come into your house and into your bedroom and on your bed and into the houses of your servants and all your people and into your ovens and into your kneading bowls, and the frogs shall come upon you and your people and all your servants." Yahweh said to Moshe, "Say to Aaron, stretch out your hand with your rod over the streams, over the rivers, over the ponds, and cause frogs to come upon the land of Mitzrayim." So Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Mitzrayim, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Mitzrayim, and the magicians did so with their magic and brought up frogs on the land of Mitzrayim. Pharaoh then called for Moshe and Aaron and said, "Pray to Yahweh to take away the frogs from me and from my people, and I shall let the people go and slaughter to Yahweh." Moshe said to Pharaoh, "Explain yourself to me. When am I to pray for you and for your servants and for your people to destroy the frogs from you and your houses and remain only in the river?" And he said, "Tomorrow." And he said, "Let it be according to your word." There is just a shift in power that is taking place. A little subtle, but it's definitely taking place. Excuse me. So Moshe and Aaron walk in with the threat of frogs as a plague. Instead of using the word sephardim, which would be plural for frogs, it uses a single word, sephardea, a single frog. How we explain that, I don't know. It maybe is as if the frogs came up out of the waters as one collective body, that they were creeping, crawling, croaking, hopping, and filling the land enormously. It says that Yahweh's warning was, they will invade the most private areas of your home. They will get into your food preparations. They will get into your ovens. They will come into the privacy of your bedrooms and be on your beds. They will come upon you, invade your personal space. Not going to be pleasant. It also says that Pharaoh's magicians were able to replicate this. Let's keep this in mind. The river Nile was the source of power and magic for the Mitzrites. And so the first 3 plagues, or the first several plagues here, involve the waters, and they are able to replicate these plagues. The magicians drawing their power from the water itself. Yah is able, however, to distinguish between, evidently, the frogs that he brings up and those that the Mitzrites bring up. Because Pharaoh doesn't say anything, at least we're not told that he said anything to his own magicians about, you need to get rid of our frogs. We got enough to deal with their frogs. But Pharaoh is moved. He's troubled by this. And even this egocentric, arrogant man begins to recognize, wait a minute, something's going on here that is disturbing to me. And he calls for Moshe and says, "You pray to Yahweh for me." He's just indicated, I recognize the hand of your mighty one is doing this. He's also just recognized the ability of Moshe and his connection to this mighty one makes him someone to contend with. Whereas before he may have been just a sunburned shepherd standing in front of him, now he's somebody to be dealt with. Yah is bringing up Moshe, not only, though, in a higher estimation in Pharaoh's eyes, but Moshe is standing higher in Moshe's eyes. He says to Pharaoh, "Explain yourself. when is it that you want me to pray that these frogs leave? Moshe just caught a clue, and he's beginning to use it against Pharaoh. You tell me when, and I will pray, and things will happen. This bold confidence about prayer is something that I believe is missing in the body of Messiah at large. We tend to pray and hope and wait and see. Moshe was coming to the place where he would pray and then expect. There's something I personally call the law of expectation or the law of anticipation. And it basically says that when we expect and anticipate certain things to take place, they have a way of presenting themselves. And that's not wishing upon a star, and this is not mind over matter or anything of that nature. This is called belief. It is called looking for that which should not appear, but you trust Yah to the place that you know it's going to appear. Pharaoh, catching the clue here, says tomorrow. Maybe he was anticipating. Moshe knew that the frogs are ready to leave already, but he extended it tomorrow. That meant that Pharaoh was going to go to bed that night with frogs. That meant that he was going to eat supper that night with frogs on his table. That meant he was going to have servants stand around him all day and keep the frogs off of him. He was willing to endure more frogs in order to try to prove a point against Moshe, a power play. When I was a teenager, I heard an evangelist preach from this text 3 points of a message that are worthy for our consideration. And he likened frogs to sin. And he said, sin will keep you longer than you want to stay. Sin will take you further than you want to go. And sin will cost you more than you want to pay. Maybe that's something to think about today. In the book of Revelation, chapter number 16, it says that in verse 12 that the sixth messenger poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates. Again, we're talking about a river, a source of magic and power. Mitzrayim is no longer the issue here. Now it's Iraq and Iran. And we're talking about the river Euphrates. And its water was dried up in order to prepare for the way of the kings of the sovereigns of the east. And I saw coming out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet, 3 unclean spirits as frogs. For they are spirits of demons doing signs which go out to the sovereigns of the entire world, all the world's leadership, including our own, to gather them to battle for the great day of Yahweh the Almighty. See, I'm coming as a thief. Blessed is he who is staying awake, guarding his garments, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame. And they gathered them together to the place called in Hebrew Har Megiddo. I've been to Har Megiddo. It's a vast, vast valley floor, enormous. And there is a future battle that will take place there. These frog prophets, croaking out lies, deceptions, misleading signs and wonders, will convince men and women who are in governmental authority and who should know better. They will deceive them into believing that Israel is their adversary and their enemy and is worthy of being annihilated. I find it interesting that the river Euphrates right now is found in the land of those who walk in Islam. Causes me to wonder and think, are these prophets, Islamic prophets, operating in demonic power to seduce the minds and intentions of government leaders? Something to pray about. Again, sin. It will cost you more than you want to pay, keep you longer than you want to stay. It'll take you further than you want to go. Think about it. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, shalom.